All right, take 3. Hey guys, I'm HardCoreJumpen, and I've made a couple parts list ranging from a $500 budget all the way up to a $1,200 budget and even a $1,500 budget. Why is this take 3? I probably said 8,000 times. I have to get rid of that habit. So we're gonna get started. This is the AMD Ryzen 3 3200G. This has internal graphics. As we can see here, it says Radeon Vega 8. Should probably zoom in. Oh, it's already zoomed in. How about that? Yeah. Yeah, that's better. Okay. So this has internal graphics. The internal graphics will allow you to play at 720p low graphics, around 30 to 60 FPS, maybe more if it's a smaller game like Counter-Strike or League of Legends. We're going with the Gigabyte B450M DS3H. This is a good board. I've personally worked with it. Patriot Viper Elite 8 gigabytes, DDR4 2666 megahertz. The reason I didn't go for a higher is because this motherboard, I've heard reports that it does not like 3200 megahertz or higher RAM. The games will just crash. So that's that. There we go again. Crucial MX 500 gigabyte. The reason why did I say it like that? 500 gigabyte. Anyways, this has a cache in it. So this is half a gig of cache. The 1 terabyte version has a full gig. Now on this build, you can choose to not have a GPU and get the GPU at a later time. That way this $530 price point could become $377, I think. I think it's $577. Let's go edit part list. Remove. Oh, and 28 cents. And we're going to be stuffing this into a Cooler Master Masterbox Q300L Micro ATX Mini Tower case. This is a pretty good case. I've seen it in person at Micro Center. Now, I did see it with a different design. These are magnetic dust filters. They are at the front and the top. It does have a handle on it, and it's a small form factor case. The reason we went with that is because of the motherboard is a micro ATX board, so it's going to fit perfectly into this case, and it's a good price point at $47.33. Going with a Thermaltake Smart 500 watt 80 plus certified ATX power supply, bringing you at $377, or with the RX 570, depending on which edition you get, it'll be around $480 to $520. Now let's move to the 600-ish budget. I wrote ish because you can kind of change things around here. Now I kind of went with a more long-term build here, and I'll show you what I mean. I decided to stick with the Ryzen 3 3200G and change the motherboard to an Asus TUF B450M plus gaming micro ATX board with G-Skill Aegis 16 gigabyte, which means that this little guy has this motherboard has room for upgrade. As you can see, it's DDR4, so you're going to be able to upgrade to 32 gigs. Gigabyte 240 gig SSD at $37.99. Seagate Barracuda Compute 2 terabytes 7200 RPM, so that gives you about 2 terabytes and a quarter. ASRock Radeon RX 570 4 gigabytes of VRAM. This is a kind of a lower edition of the 570. You could get a better one, or you could even get a 580. This is an NZXT H510 case. This is a cool case. I really like this case. It comes with 2 fans, one in the rear and one in the top. They're both 120 millimeter. And the quality on these photos isn't the best, but these fans are actually aesthetically pleasing. They're kind of nice. Is there here we are. They're kind of similar to this. They're pretty nice. Yeah, there we go. I really like how the blades look, and it's so simple, just pleasing to the eye. Damn, why do I say so much, man? It's it's weird. EVGA, bronze rated, 600 watt. So this is going to be in a lot of the builds now because of 600 watt. That's going to be give you room for upgrades, whether it's the processor, your RAM, or your GPU. Now let's go with the $800 budget. I've changed the processor to this AMD Ryzen 5 1600. From what I've heard, these have been updated. So basically, it's the same chip as a Ryzen 5 2600, which was originally going to be what I would suggest. If we edit the parts list, take out the CPU and choose the CPU, we can see that the Ryzen 5 2600 is at an outrageous price right now. Look at that. Look at that. Micro Center offered the 2600X not long ago, or maybe it still does, at $99. Why would I pay $200 for a Ryzen 5 2600? Last year I paid $165 for a Ryzen 5 2600. I'm not paying $200 for this thing. Especially considering that the cooler that comes with it is a very small cooler. It comes with this one right here. You can't really see. I don't have a different angle of this photo, but this is the smaller version. This is the AMD Stealth cooler. There is, I think, an AMD Wraith Prism cooler, which is a little taller. I believe that comes in the 2600X. Does it show a picture of that? It does not. Okay. Go back. Put the Ryzen 5 1600 back in there. And now I'm gonna be dang bro okay, Cooler Master Hyper 212 Black Edition. This is an awesome cooler. Cheap price, amazing performance and aesthetics. Going with an Asus TUF B450M. I've seen this board in person. It's got this little LED right here. You can change it with, I believe, Aura Sync. Yeah, Aura Sync. Yeah, there you go. And then we're going with LPX 16 gigs, DDR4 3000 megahertz memory from Corsair. This is good. This is going to give you room for upgrade. What budget are we working on? 800. Yeah, $800. So we're going with Gigabyte 240 gigs of solid state Seagate Barracuda Compute 2 terabytes of 7,200 RPM. Now we're changing from AMD's cards to NVIDIA's with an MSI GeForce GTX 1660 Super 6 GB and to an NZXT H510 case. Oh yeah, these are the same from the previous, but this is going to give you a lot more room for 1080p gaming, and you can go up to 1440p from here as well. Let's go back, go into $1,000 budget. I've made two here. We're keeping the processor, cooler, but now we've changed to an MSI B450 Tomahawk Max. This is a cool board. It's got these really cool heat sinks here and here and here. So it's just got some passive cooling for its price point. It's pretty decent. We're going with Team T-Force Delta RGB 8 gig DDR4 3000 megahertz. These are nice. They got the RGB, you know, for people who are really into that. Crucial MX500, so 1 terabyte. Seagate Barracuda Compute 2 terabyte. So you got 3 terabytes of space in this, and you're going with an MSI GeForce GTX 1660 Ti. Now I love these boards. They're shut up. I love these GPUs. The MSI I don't know what they call these. Gaming X, I guess. The Gaming X series. I do have one of my own. 2080 Super right here. Very nice to look at. Very pleasing. NZXT H510. Gonna keep going with that case. And a 600 watt. Now we're gonna go with the $1,000 alternate build, which removes a lot of the RGB elements and changes the processor back down to a Ryzen 5 1600 Wait, did I talk about the processor in the last one? Oh, same processor. What did I change here? That's right. The RGB is gone because now we've gone with a Gigabyte GeForce RTX 2060 Super on the alternate build, giving you awesome gaming here. You can start gaming at 4K now without many hiccups. You could go with high frame rate, 1080p, 1440p, I believe up to 165 hertz. And then we got the NZXT H510 case. We're going to keep going with that. So all the RGB elements are gone, and that allowed you to afford the 2060 Super. We've also dropped the hard drive, but we still kept the 1 terabyte drive. Now we've, let's move on to the $1,200 performance. AMD Ryzen 5 3600. So this is cheaper than the 2600X, and it's a 3600, so I'm gonna guess it's better. I've actually have not worked with the 3600. I've worked with a 2600 and 2600X, but not with a 3600. So we're keeping the cooler MasterCase, the Tomahawk, the RAM. We're going with 16 gigs. We're filling up the RAM, so DDR4. A Crucial P1 1 terabyte M.2. I believe this is generation 3. Does it say anywhere? I'm not sure if it says it anywhere. Yeah, it's not a Gen 4. But anyways, we're going with the Seagate Barracuda as well. And then we've swapped over to NVIDIA's GeForce 2070 Super. So you're going to be able to game on some badass graphics, mostly ultra, unless you're playing like some insane games. Do you know Arc recommends a Titan V for epic graphics? Like, that's insane. We're going to go with the same case and same power supply here. It's edit part list. It's going to be fine. 404 watts estimated wattage. So 600 watts is going to be more than enough. You can upgrade that to if you decide so. All of these parts list, you know, they're subject to change. Prices change. I actually had recommended the 2600 on most of all these and the 2600X, but as you saw earlier, the prices have just skyrocketed. Now I'm going to a $1,200 GPU version. Why? Because I've downgraded back down to a 1600. I've downgraded the motherboard to a B450M micro ATX, and I've removed the SSD and gone with the Seagate Barracuda Compute 2 terabyte. But I changed the graphics card to an NVIDIA GeForce RTX 2080 Super 8 gig. That's right. That's right. So 4K 60 FPS, Ultra. You don't have to change jack. Anyways, we're going to stick with the case and the power supply. But what would I do with $1,200 budgets? I would crack my voice, that's what. So AMD Ryzen 5 3600X, $200. Keeping that. Filling up the RAM, so 16 gigabytes. Going with a 1 terabyte, so this one's the one with the 1 gig of cache. Then we're going with the Seagate Barracuda. Probably the only reason I'm really recommending this is because it's $51. I paid nearly 60 bucks for my 1 terabyte Barracuda last year. So this is a deal, okay? Anyways, we've changed down to an MSI GeForce RTX 2060 Super, because at a $1,200 price point with all the other parts, this is good. This is going to be dope. You can, you know, video edit and stuff. 3600X, no problem. And with 16 gigabytes of RAM, that means you can go up to like 1080p. 32 gigabytes for 1080p high visual effects. I believe it's 64 gigabytes for 1440p and 4K, and 128 gigabytes for 6K. I don't know anything about 8K, so yeah. Anyways, and I decided to put some fans in here, you know. Let's go with some cooling, because this case only comes with exhaust fans. And it doesn't come with intake fans, so you could just put some in there. It does take two 140s in the front and a 140 at the top, but it comes with its own 120 millimeter. So we've chosen the Arctic P14 Silence, $9, cheap price. I might decide that I'd like to change them to these just because they're pleasing to the eye. No, they're nice. I think they're nice. Arctic fans aren't exactly pretty. So is that all the builds? Yes, that is all the builds. That is $500 to $1,200. Just to reiterate, here you go. Here you go. Here you go. There you go. Okay, so that is the video. I don't want this to be too long. I would show some of these other ones, but yeah, screw it. I'm gonna show this one. My current 4K 60 FPS build. So this is actually one of my current builds. I had a picture here. Look at that bad boy. I love this bad boy. I hate his noisy case fan. You guys ever get this case? Cooler Master MasterCase H500. The stock rear fan in this guy is only 120 millimeter, but he's noisy as hell. It's annoying. But anyways, just pointing that out there. I got the AMD Ryzen 7 3800X, the Asus ROG Strix B450F Gaming. Definitely update the BIOS on this thing because it does not like the Corsair Vengeance RGB Pro 32 gig at 3200 megahertz. Western Digital SN750s, 1 terabyte, 2 of them. These prices went crazy. So one time I saw these at 127, then I saw them at 135, and then I saw them at 175, and now no price is available. Now, I did pay quite a bit more for this build when I got it. Oh yeah. Obviously it says no prices available. Do I have pictures of it? Shut the fuck. That's on the other PC. Yeah, I don't have photos of it. Never mind. I had photos of all the prices, but I guess not. So this Cooler Master case, I like it. It's cool. Cooler Master, cool. Anyways, it's just that this RGB on this fan isn't that cool. It does provide a lot of airflow, and this is a massive like dust filter, and if you put your hand up to it, you can really feel like the air going in. And that wasn't the case on my P400 case when I first got it. You put your hand up to it and you don't feel anything. You're like, uh-oh, this is not good. I went with this card, the MSI GeForce. Yeah, all that noise right there. This is a good one. Look at that. Look at that. I like it. I'm a sucker for RGB, okay? I'm sorry. All right, that's it. That's all I'm going to show. That's the bit. That's the build. That's the video. These are the prices, etc., etc. PCPartPicker.com, y'all. Bye.